Hi, this is Michelle from Layers of Learning. I'm going to talk today about the packet that we have available on Layers of Learning. It's free. You can grab it anytime you want. You don't even have to subscribe to anything, just print it out. It's called My Homeschool Plan. It is a way for parents who are just beginning homeschooling to kind of get a whole vision of what they want their homeschool to be like and to get a big scope and sequence of their children's entire education. Plus, it kind of helps you get a vision of what you need in your homeschool because as the parent mentor, you need to be happy too, or it's not going to happen. So you can grab the packet at Layers of Learning. It's called My Homeschool Plan. And if you are not new to homeschooling, I think that you'll also find it useful. I fill one out. I use this packet every few years, not quite every year because I've been doing this a long time, but it's nice to kind of reset yourself because your circumstances change. You get older, your kids get older, your family needs change, your children start to have interests and ideas of their own, and so it's good to evaluate where you're at in your homeschool plan every now and then. So this packet contains, it starts off with your why. And there's also a post on Layers of Learning and a video about finding your why that can help you kind of realize, okay, this is what's really important to me. This is why I'm homeschooling. This is the core of it. Because until you have that defined, it's hard to stay motivated and it's hard to really have a good vision for what you're doing. If you don't have a vision, you're not going to accomplish the things that you wish that you could. The next page in the packet is the Homeschooling Laws. Now, I don't want to freak you out or anything, but it's really important to follow the homeschooling laws wherever you live. This is not a good time to take a moral or a political stand on the role that you think that government should have in homeschooling because your children only get one childhood. And if part of that childhood is spent in a foster home because you are defying the law, that's not a good idea. So it's important to know what the homeschooling laws are. This page in the packet will just help you kind of write it down, take some notes so that it's firmly in your mind, the things that you need to do where you live. It's different in every state in the United States. It's different in Canada than it is in Australia, than it is in New Zealand, and so on. So I can't tell you what you need to do, but in a lot of places you have to do things like take standardized testing or be under an umbrella charter school or meet other requirements in order to homeschool. In some places, like Idaho, where Karen and I live, we don't have to do anything. We don't even have to notify the schools that we're homeschooling. So it just completely depends on where you live. Okay, and the next page in the packet is adjusting to homeschool. This one is important if you are taking your kids out of school. If you're starting at the very beginning with kindergartners and you're homeschooling from the start, this isn't so important. But if your kids have been in school and you're taking them out, it is essential that you have a time period where you can rest, where you can recoup, where you can recover. You need to kind of get your head back in the right space. Everyone in the family needs a reset and a whole brain adjustment for going from public school to homeschool. It's a massive change. And a lot of times kids who have been in public school and are being taken out because there were harmful things happening to the child in the school. And so they need time to recover from that, to get their emotions back under control, to get their head mentally in a better space again. So this page has places for you to list some activities you can do at home, some outings that you can do as a family, and then some books that you could read. You could do read alouds, or you could just go to the library and pick a bunch of books. But that's a whole page in there about adjusting to homeschool. Okay, the next page is starts what I think of as kind of the meat of the packet, where you are planning the actual education. So this first page in this section talks about just the school subjects you want your kids to know. I mean, you want them to know math, right? You want them to do English. You want them to be able to know science. So maybe you want to make sure that science is in there, or you want humanities, or art is really important to you. You're going to write the school subjects that you want your children to know. And then there's also space for special subjects you want your children to know. This could be, a club like 4-H or Scouting. It could be religious education that you want your children to have. It could be extracurricular. Maybe you've got a kid that's super into cars. You want them to have a chance to develop that passion. So that's for the special subjects that aren't considered traditional school subjects, but that are important to you in your family, in your situation. Then this page, okay, this page looks complicated, but it's not. It's the long-term education plan. You need one of these pieces of paper for each of your children because each of them needs their own custom plan. And even though you're writing it down now, this is going to change unless your child is already at the very end of their education, like in high school, then maybe it won't change. But if your children are younger, it's almost certainly going to change. But it's important to have the plan regardless, because I think the biggest reason is that we have a tendency as homeschoolers to want to do too many things. We want to add in too many subjects because there's Shakespeare to learn, and there's also fine art to learn about, and there's also great literature, and there's just 1,000 different things that we think are so important. And if you don't have a plan that has spaces that limits you, then you will tend to overschedule. Kids in school are usually taking 6 to 7 classes, maybe 8, depending on the school district, in a semester, right? That's typical. But as homeschoolers, sometimes we just keep adding more and more on. We want to do foreign language, and we want to do, Spanish and Latin, and we want to do math, and we also want to do practical math, like financial literacy, that sort of thing. And we can't do everything every year. And this plan helps you to kind of space those things out. Okay, I know I want to do Shakespeare, but do I have to do it every year? No, I can just plan to do it, in 8th grade, for example. And so I want to do an entire semester on Shakespeare in 8th grade. That's what this plan is for. It helps you to make sure that you're hitting the things that your child needs for graduation, the things that you think are essential subjects to learn, the things that you think will make your child have a happier life, and then subjects that you really don't want to miss. And then there's a space here for you to map it out from 1st grade clear through 12th grade, so you can get an idea. And then you revisit this educational plan so that it is meeting your needs as your family moves forward. Like I said before, your kids are going to have their own ideas and their own interests and their own needs as they get older. They'll get into certain things and they'll get out of other things. I have a son who wanted to be a soldier his whole life until he suddenly decided he wanted to be a welder and not be a soldier. So, this happens with kids. This is normal. And so having an educational plan that it's a really solid plan, but you also know that it can be adjusted and changed in the future. Okay, and that brings us to the 4-year plan. Now, layers of learning is based around a 4-year cycle. And so that's what this page is about. It helps you to plan, okay, when am I going to do ancient history? When am I going to do the geography of people and planet? When am I going to learn biology? And when am I going to do ancient art? So this lets you plan these things all out in a 4-year cycle. This is for just those subjects: history, geography, science, and art. So that, and this your whole family is doing together. So this helps you kind of plan out, okay, this is my next 4 years. And this is the order that we're going to do things in. And that way you have it in your head and you're not skipping things or getting out of order. Okay, now this page is called My Homeschool Vision. It's very blank because it's a spot for you to draw an actual picture and make some notes and be creative about how you picture your homeschool will be. Some people want their homeschool to be their kids sprawled all over the living room, each working on their individual things. Other people imagine their family gathered around the table and all working together on projects. And some people want their kids at desks and working independently. It just depends on your personality. It depends on your family's needs. It depends on your kids' personalities. And having a vision is important because you will start to understand your own personality and your own expectations. Until you understand your expectations, you're probably going to keep being disappointed and not even know why. Now, that being said, your kids will not meet your expectations. Your homeschool will not meet your expectations because there's all these people involved and there's all these personalities involved and there's life happens. And so And some of it you may find out isn't actually practical, or you may try it and you realize that actually isn't me after all. I thought it was me, but it's not me. And so it's good to have a vision though, because you can frame your expectations. But you need to remember to keep your expectations in check, because other people aren't always going to meet them. Okay, next is a page about my homeschool style. So the 4 major styles in homeschooling are classical, Charlotte Mason, traditional schooling, and unit studies. There are many sub genres of homeschooling, but those are the 4 biggies. And so on this paper, there are check boxes, and you get to check whichever parts of these homeschool styles fit you, the things that make you go, yeah, that's me. So for example, if you want your kids to have a lot of say in what you're learning about, you would check that box in the unit studies section. If you really want your kids to read a lot of books but not textbooks so much, then you're going to check that box under Charlotte Mason, and so on. This, wherever your most check boxes are, that's the style you lean towards. Most homeschoolers are eclectic, which means we check boxes in all of those homeschool sections. And so it's fine if you lean towards one, or if you're completely all over the place. It doesn't matter either way, but knowing what you lean towards, what you like, and what is important to you will help you find resources. There are lots of publishers who make curriculum specifically for classical style education. And so knowing your style will help you just to gravitate towards those specific resources, which brings me to the next page, because we have a list of resources for each of the styles in reading, writing, and math. So Layers of Learning focuses mostly on history, geography, science, and art. Plus we have Writer's Workshop, which is amazing for any kind of writers under any style of homeschooling. But this helps you to be drawn towards the style of, reading instruction that's classical, or math that is more unit study style, and so on. That'll help you find the things that are right for you. Okay, and then my homeschool wish list, you can just make a list of anything that you want to get for your homeschool. When my kids were young, my dream was to have a microscope, like a real one, not a toy. I wanted a real one. I have a biology degree, and I did a lot of microscope work in school, and I like it. And I wanted to have a microscope. And we got one. I found one at a yard sale. It was awesome because it was $100 and it came with all kinds of slides, and I was very happy. Anyway, your homeschool list is going to be unique to you. And then the next page is book list. This could be for any kind of books. It could be textbooks, it could be curriculum, or it could be classic novels you want to make sure that your kids read. Maybe you want to build up your homeschool library and have books from lots of different educational areas. Next is my goals. Probably as you're going through this packet, your brain is going to be thinking about, okay, well, I need to do this and this and this. And this is a spot for you to write down the goals that you have regarding your homeschool preparation, or this year in your homeschool. Maybe your goal is to get a homeschool area set up where your kids can study, or maybe your goal is to buy curriculum, and so you're going to make a plan and figure out how to do these things. The next page is about books to read this year, and it's got little boxes so that there's spots for each of your different children, and then also a box for read alouds. So every year I give my kids a kind of a gift at the beginning of the year that has just a collection of books in it, and they can read them during reading time. Now the books are usually, the ones I pick for them are things that I know will appeal to them because I know my kids, and they're also things that go along with whatever we're learning about that year in school. So they'll go along with the geography, the history, the science, or the art. And this year we're learning about modern history, and I know my kids, they're all boys, and they're very into wars, like war history and weapons and soldierly kinds of things. And so I got them a lot of books that have to do with that because I know it's going to appeal them. My goal for my kids is to get them reading, not to get them stuff information in their heads. So I got them things that I thought would appeal to them. And then I just let them read them during their independent reading time throughout the year, and they devour them. So that's a spot to write down some books that you can read aloud or for each of your kids as you're thinking about them for this coming year. So grab this packet. Again, it's for new homeschoolers, but it's also for anyone who wants to kind of reset and think through their homeschooling plan again, which you should do periodically, maybe once a year, maybe every few years. But it's nice to have that vision. It's nice to have a kind of a framework where you know exactly what you're going to do and how you're going to accomplish the most important thing that you can do as a parent, which is educating your child. Layers of Learning is a homeschool curriculum company. We create hands-on and literature-based lessons in history, geography, science, arts, and language arts. Check us out at layersoflearning.com and on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and YouTube. Have fun learning!